Good
What up,
morning.
sir?
Hey, how's it going?
How are we doing? Appreciate you jumping on at God knows what hour it is over in Asia.
Uh, 10 p.m. here, but
Oh, not bad. You
thanks
probably
for.
have six more calls after this, don't you?
I have a couple, but it's all good.
Nice. Yeah. So Kizzy's the world's first social media betting app. It makes it easy to bet on the follower growth and post performance of creators across YouTube, Twitter, and soon many other platforms. So we had you on, I think, Internet Explorers maybe 6 months ago. I meant to look it up, but I think that's roughly right. So yeah, I wonder if you could just kick this off by catching us up on what's been happening since.
Yeah, I would say like the biggest change since we last spoke was the release of Monad's testnet, and so there's been some initial interaction with the early users, and while it's on testnet, so it's not with real money, we are still getting a lot of good I would say one early data, but second just validation in a lot of the ways that we've designed and built our markets. Like yeah, we've had like challenges and like scaling the app to like many users has been interesting, but I think nonetheless, um, the more that we progress through this testnet phase, the like more bullish I am, the higher conviction I have, and just continuing to see validation for like the thesis that we have across the board.
Yeah, can you shed a light on some of the numbers you're seeing these days, or whatever you're able to
Yeah,
share?
so I would say like candidly, Kizzy's probably one of the top three consumer apps on Monad, and so we've done a lot of like work with them to kind of set the stage for that. They've helped kind of promote Kizzy from their accounts, but we've also done like collaborations with like apps like Phantom, who like one of the largest Web3 mobile wallet providers. They've directly like promoted Kizzy from their page, and so I think some of the numbers that I'd love to share is like we have over 70,000 unique bettors every week. They're placing on average 42 bets a month, which is pretty wild. And I think we've continued to expand creators and platforms. And so they're placing bets on YouTube and Twitter. And, we've just seen a lot of diversity with what creators are also placing bets on as well.
Yeah, so building on Monad, so how it's obviously been forced into kind of this extended testnet beta, which I think is easy to look at as maybe a bad thing, but I think you've spoken very kind of highly about it almost, and ultimately feel kind of blessed to have this extended testnet period where you can really hone in the product. So wondering if you can, I guess, a couple of questions, like talk about how you've used this kind of period to your advantage, and I'm also curious how do you have 70,000 kind of retained users playing with test money? Like what are they doing here?
Yeah, I would say like the to your first question, like what we've looked at testnet, it's like you have to understand the nature of these programs. Like one, they attract a lot of, I would say, like early users that are interested in new technology, but they have like I would say like other motives at play as well. And so there's like a high volume of users, and when you're introducing or building something brand new, you want to be able to test your infrastructure to see if it works. So what is that like core flow that you would like users on mainnet to do, which is, sign up for an account, deposit some amount of currency, place a bet. Is that bet completed? And then are they willing to place another bet right after? Or do they just kind of give up after that? And so regardless of if you're playing with play money or real money, those flows are generally exactly the same. And so if you can motivate a test user to go through that flow and do it again and again, when there's hundreds of options of, this word called interactions, which is like how many times can you interact with the chain, the fact that they're choosing Kizzy over a bunch of other applications goes to show that, hey, we're at least doing something right from an initial phase. And then more like light on the numbers, like I said, some of the kind of collaborations and work we've done with like Phantom and Monad directly, which is, you know, contributed to those numbers, but also uh, like Kizzy's been being built since 2023. We put a lot of time and energy into the application. It's, I would say, one of the most like mature PWAs in all of crypto Web3. And you can kind of just go on their website and download it and see for yourself. Like there's a lot of work that's gone through iterations even before we launched on testnet. And so when we did launch, we had this like really strong product that people were using, and then it was just a question of getting folks to kind of continue using. We consistently our top of funnels like X right now, and so we consistently get like engagement there, and we're like getting new customers and users via different creators, or even brand new game modes.
Yeah, that's great. So you mentioned, been building Kizzy since 2023. So been on this for a couple years. And, since we've had, meme coins, prediction markets, InfoFi, social tokens, perps, like all these kind of new form factors emerge that, obviously not in all cases are kind of running at this bet on trends or bet on creators, but, in many cases they are. So I'm curious what kind of, what gives you confidence that the form factor of like, kind of sports betting for social media is the right one? And are there any kind of lessons or things you've taken from kind of the emergence of these other form factors that'll influence the product, or you feel like you're on the right path?
So I think even like when we started building this, prediction markets were a hot topic. Like I said, 2023 leading into
Right.
the 2024 election, we had a I would say like historic amount of liquidity behind the elections, and
Mm-hmm.
people were questioning, hey, are prediction markets going to stick around after the election? And we can look at the massive amounts of volume and mind share that both Polymarket and Kalshi have. The New York mayor race, I think they had like a couple hundred million in volume on that. Like there is very, very like little that people can say that there's not going to be a market for these things, in the future. People want to bet on things that are interesting or compelling, or just in general outside of what the typical offering gives you. And so you have this massive need, and that's currently being filled up with meme coins, prediction markets, these other speculative betting on trends, etc. That gap or that kind of design space is wide open. Like we want to carve out our own kind of end of like directly social media betting. But I don't think like someone who's going to use Kizzy will not use a prediction market or not be able to bet or participate in trends, because we're ultimately not competing for the same markets. Like all these companies, in essence, are trying to like create or build their own markets and get people to use it. The question becomes: is social media interesting for someone to bet on? And that has continued to be true over and over and
Mm-hmm.
over and over and over again. Like that there's no question that people find it interesting. Now kind of how do you get there and get customers to use it and build the rest of the foundation of the product? Like that's up to kind of the team and how they do it.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Go
especially
please.
it just seems like there's nothing what exists in the world that isn't on social media. So it's kind of like the catch-all category for anything happening in the world. It's all settling on social media. So it makes sense that that service area would exist. What I'm curious though is like especially in the face of how we had Austin from Dragonfly, and he basically was saying the thing that he is worried about is one, how do you establish social authority, and two, how do you resolve the truth? And obviously, there's all these problems with UMA protocol and whether or not it's resolving things correctly. And so I actually I'm really curious on how you are resolving social media betting, or like what types of bets are being set up that give you this opportunity.
Yeah, I would say like the nature of what's going on with Polymarket and UMA and resolutions are just the nature of the product that they've built, which is these prediction markets that rely on a specific protocol to settle. That was by design for them, and they're running into kind of the roadblocks or hurdles with that design philosophy. I have no doubt in my mind that they're going to be able to like move past it and figure out and kind of iterate. But the question is like, even with that risk in mind, are people still betting on Polymarket and participating in those markets? Like, absolutely. It's just with anything new, you're gonna have like just the nature of growing really big and having tons of different markets. Like some will try to be exploited by bad actors. This happens in any kind of financial market where someone's looking to extract value, all the way from MEV to the stock market to meme coins. There's bad actors like looking to take advantage of the vulnerabilities, or just try to exploit it for their own financial gain. Kizzy's going to be no different. Like we have spent a lot of time designing and thinking about the type of markets that we have, so we don't run into some of the shortfalls for prediction markets. But I do imagine that we're going to have unique risk associated with the markets that we have, and we'll have to kind of go move past them and climb past them and put in different controls and like build that trust with users. More specifically, like with Kizzy's market, like one advantage that we have is we've built our markets on initial markets on metrics alone. And so when it comes to metrics, we look at the actual social media site, so whether it's Twitter or YouTube, as a source of truth, and it's over a number. So there's not really a dispute that can happen. Will this post get above or below 1 million views? Everyone like that's participating in the market can verify that. I go on Twitter or x.com and pull up the views. Like this is something that there's not really a dispute or resolution for. So this is one of the advantages, and I imagine like as we come out with different games or markets, we'll have to be it like evolve. But from the get go, I think we've at least designed something that avoids that resolution question.
So I can't bet on my public crash out.
No, that would be perfect for a prediction market.
So yeah, I guess with you guys, the like resolution risk is more around like posts getting botted or someone having a bunch of money on
Yeah, I would say
the
the
over
risk.
of an influencer. Yeah.
So there's a market today on Polymarket that you can bet on how many times will Elon Musk tweet in a week. The only one that can manipulate that market is Elon Musk. Kizzy could have that same market replicated across, let's say, 1,000 creators, giving people like repeatable markets to bet on over and over again. We can do a lot of different games with that specific market, but each game or type you will has different risk associated with it. If we do a creator-based market, then that relationship or that creator has to be really credible. If we do a views or engagement market, then the higher we go, 100 versus 10 versus 1 versus 10K views, each one of those have different risks according to what people can do. Like a single retweet could adjust the views quite a bit too.
Totally. Yeah, can you tell us a bit more about the like spreads, which is a new game type you guys launched that seems like people have been loving? And I'm also curious, kind of more generally, just how you approach like adding new game types. Like what's kind of like the mental model or like North Star you look through when trying to figure out how to kind of extend the surface area of the games you can play?
Yeah, I'll speak a little bit on spreads. This was quite a long project that actually took some time to even release an early version of. And it was a different than we have a prediction based betting game where you can bet on how you think a post is going to perform over under like before it occurs. Spreads is a live betting game, so you get notified in the app, hey, Elon Musk just posted a tweet, and then you have different payouts associated with it. So do you think this post is going to get 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and then each one of those have it's like a distribution curve, have different payouts according to the chance of that happening, and then the market settles much quicker. So it's similar to kind of seeing whether you think something is going to be a banger or not. And I think the most interesting part about this game mode is we actually underwrite the bets, and so we're taking the other side of the bets, and so there is some like liquidity risk for the platform. Our previous game was PvP or player versus player, so we were just putting players against one another in a pool. This game mode, I think, unlocked a lot of like interesting design space for us because we were kind of going on and taking social media and designing and putting our own like spin on it. And the evolution of games for us is, I would say, akin to something that sports betting has followed as well. Like if you look at the last 15, 20 years of sports betting, it's grown a lot. You have DFS and just a whole bunch of other kind of, like, let's take one sports match. You can now bet on 1,000 different things. I think social media will have that same growth, but right now is a lot of experimentation. So we did this live betting game mode on views. The next game mode might be something like I mentioned with post count. So, every day you can bet on how many times you think X individual is going to post, and then depending on their historical data, be able to get paid out accordingly.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, it feels like this game type. It's kind of like the investing, at a 1K views or something that you see people reply on Twitter. It feels
Yeah,
like, yeah.
What
I would say like, go ahead. Sorry.
well, I was just gonna ask. Like, there is I think it's like tweet.lol or something like that, or there is some like social media version of this that's not involving real money, and I don't know. I'm just curious if that's on your radar or who the other players are in this space and like what your edge is on them, you believe.
I think over the last couple of months, we've seen like more teams focus on social speculation or this idea of like being able to bet on literal social media posts. I don't. I would say our edge is twofold. Like one, some of these like implementations or market, um, like markets we've thought about years ago and realized how they're not sustainable for like long term, um, just betting markets. I.e., like if you can speculate on a or invest in a tweet for a random creator at a couple thousand views, this is a market that can't be sustained with real liquidity, and ultimately they're gonna kind of run into some of these hurdles as well. And so every single market that we have has gone through a lot of like design and testing before we actually implement in the game. The second is like we've seen continued like large focus on Twitter, and we're actually moving away from that completely. Like Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, Kick, those are like what the team is focusing on rather than trying to like continue investing a ton in specifically Twitter betting, because we actually don't think that for a long-term market it's sustainable for like really what the actual app is for. Like both
That's really
TikTok and
interesting.
Instagram have 3x the amount of MAUs X has, maybe even more now. But yeah, not many normal people use Twitter. I'll say that.
Well, I feel like way more like true fandom or like influencer fandom exists on like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube too than Twitter. And I really see your product as this like bet that influencers the new kind of athletes, just like sports betting kind of extended the surface area where you could go bet on or express your like sports fandom. Like you can now go do that with influencer celebrity fandom.
It's not. Yeah, I mean, like if you looked at some of these like AI hires from Meta, which are in the 100 million,
Yeah.
they're getting paid more than sports athletes, and these people have people like they're influencers now, right? That get paid a lot. It's just more applicable to so many more areas. Like we could do politics, betting on Donald Trump, and we had the president of Iran. Like he was getting a ton of engagement. Now it's fallen off. Um, there's just like a lot of different things that Kizzy can do, and I'm just excited to be able to like continue pushing that.
Yeah, very cool. So when we first started talking to you, I think you maybe like personally had sub 1K followers. I think Kizzy was kind of in the same place, and now I think Kizzy's 120,000 followers. I think you're 10,000 plus. So I'm curious. Yeah, I guess for new projects starting out that recognize their need to kind of grow their audience base. Do you have any kind of reflections or tactics or kind of advice for what's been so successful for you guys trying to grow that base?
So I think one thing I see a lot of teams struggle with, especially starting out, is not being strategic with how they market. And so one thing that we've done is really like think a lot about the type of posts that we actually distribute to our users, and then creating the funnel end to end. And so it's very easy to get, let's say, 10,000 impressions. But what's really hard is turning those 10,000 impressions into valuable actions for your product. And I think the normal playbook for like a lot of teams is like, hey, we have this interesting demo or product, and we want to make this video, and everyone in crypto is like, you need to just start getting community members and being like, But actually, if you just have like a Discord or Telegram, or if you have nothing and you get like 100K views, you're probably converting, I would say, less than like 0.5% of that. And then even then, those users, there's nothing for them to do.
Mm-hmm.
Then if you look at our Twitter growth, we didn't actually start focusing on that until we actually had a demo for people to play, and we were able to retain those users and get their feedback which was extremely valuable for us. But had we just started marketing, then it would have been a lot tougher to get that initial like foundation of users because there's nothing for them to do. Like asking someone to join a Discord when people are in 300, 200 Discords it's useless. Like
100%. But I do think you guys have effectively used the like group chat to kind of aggregate your early adopters, get feedback, and also having 200 people who really love and believe in what you're building, form personal relationships with you. Like that helps, and then they're like retweeting or engaging with all the stuff that you're talking about. Like that helps a lot.
I think having those early supporters is critical, but you can't just like expect a Discord or Telegram link to earn you them. Like we got those early supporters because they were actually able to touch and play a super early version of the app. And that combined with the group chat was what led to us creating these supporters. Without that, it would have been pointless. Like I don't think and the type of person that would have been attracted to that is not someone who I think would be aligned long term with the project, anyways.
For sure. Okay, cool. So mainnet is slotted for later this year. So what do the next handful of months look like until that?
I would say there's I would say there's like a couple things that we're like focused on trying to get the app ready for mainnet, polishing and getting our audits done and making sure that the app end-to-end works with real money. Like play money is like, I would say fun, but it's serious with real money. And there's a number of things that we want to be able to do just to get, that product ready. Mainnet and beyond I have a document called Mainnet Beyond is fully focused on scaling and user acquisition. And while we're going to be focusing on like a Twitter bit, like I think where we're really going to shine is some of these other top of funnels that have been previously like not explored as much from a crypto perspective. So TikTok and Instagram. And the part about Kizzy that I think is like very underrated and powerful is when we partner or start working with creators on a more personal level, we're not just going to have markets on them. We're also going to be able to, add to their revenue or income, i.e. like, hey, there's a fee share that we can do if you sign this partnership with us. And they benefit from more people betting on their markets. And so it creates a very interesting dynamic where they're much more incentivized to like promote Kizzy to their fans because, they financially benefit and it creates this interesting relationship. Like a lot of these things are going to be put into motion, like mainnet, and as we kind of get closer to month 3, month 6, month 12. The idea behind that is really how do we, like, how when you look at elections today, you're going to first look at Polymarket to see how they're performing. We want every viral moment for social media, like people checking Kizzy to see, who's won a huge bet off it or who's betting on these markets. The most viral people are not going to be defined by now just engagement, but also how much liquidity or bets are behind their content.
I'm curious have you been actively reaching out to creators ahead of this? I'm curious what they think of the product. Like, is this something they're excited by, or are they like, fuck my life, financialized even more?
From the creators that we've spoken to, there's a lot of alignment. It's just in the commercials and the economics of these deals, they get fairly expensive, especially for the bigger ones. And so we want to be very strategic with how we do this. And I think we're going to be like doing some piloting with Web2 creators before we do a very big like Web2 one.
Yeah, got it. Very cool. All right, man. Well, go Peace.
Well, I'm wondering. I mean, if you have another question, if you have another moment for a question, I am curious. I mean, there's a ton of obvious benefits to testnet in that you're in the safety zone. You're doing play money. You're getting feedback. And we had Perrine on from Monad who talked about just the impact that a lot of the feedback has been able to have for apps. But I'm curious, maybe for other founders, like what is the most non-obvious benefit to have been on this testnet for so long and being able to test in this way? If there are any non-obvious benefits or something that surprised you, even you're like, thank God we're here right now.
Crypto moves really quickly, like insanely quickly. And I think for any brand new product, especially when you add speculative elements into it, as soon as real money enters the equation, you lose, as a founder, you lose sight of what really matters, which is ultimately making your product better, and getting closer to product market fit. And so Kizzy technically could have launched probably a year ago with real money, and I think we would have flopped and failed, not because of the idea or the team or even the product, but just because our team would have been very, very focused on the real money aspect. And with that comes a lot of like, okay, audits and making sure that, the different infrastructure and parts of the product are working properly. Whereas on a test net, you're fully focused on, the core flows and making the product better. And if things are not working, iterating, experimenting, because it is what play money. I would say if you're building a DEX or like a lending protocol, testnets may not be that valuable. Like, yes, it is to test specific flows and, make sure the product's working. But I would say the true value comes for brand new ideas. And the beautiful part about some of these early stage ecosystems, and I love Monet. We've been building on them since like early last year, but there's plenty of other ecosystems. They have huge teams and budgets that are committed to, working with you on making sure your app is successful as well. And that only comes with the test net, because once they're on mainnet, it becomes a lot more about what can you also bring to the table immediately. Whereas testnet, you're kind of in this together. The one caveat is that you have to be very careful with who you partner and associate yourself with, because you have to make sure that they align with your vision and what you want to do. And we've seen, test nets to mainnets completely flop. There's a ton that I can name. Just be very careful. And, part of the risk of a test net is, making an early bet on an ecosystem. It may not work out.
For sure.
Nice.
All right, man. Well, appreciate you hanging out with us today. Push you a little longer than we planned, but we'll let you get back to the evening in Asia, and excited to catch up again soon, maybe when we're closer to mainnet.
Yeah, of course. I would say, if I can set a goal for myself or milestone, like on mainnet, like everyone will know about Kizzy, and I'll make sure, I try my best to make that happen.
Let's go. If you want to get in early, what is it? Kizzy.io? Is that right?
Yeah, Kizzy.io is perfect.
Nice. Go play with the product. It's awesome. It's fun. TH is very receptive to feedback and very grateful for feedback. So if you have any, send it over.
Cool. Thank you. Have a good one. Bye.
Peace, dude.
Thank you so much.